You're listening to the audio companion series for Digital Labor, The Coming Demise of the White-Collar Worker, with author Thomas Young and Kieran Bajwa.
Hey everyone, welcome to our special podcast series. This is the companion series that we have for our book, which just came out, Digital Labor, The Coming Demise of the White-Collar Worker. And I'm here with our newly published author, Tom Young. Tom, welcome to the studio. Well, This is your studio. But
Thanks, Kieran. Yeah, this is a long time coming. This, you and I started this project maybe 2 or 3 years ago, right?
Yeah, about 18 months or so.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah.
But I had been thinking about doing this for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, a lot of times people had these aspirations, I'm going to write a book and stuff like that. And I always thought that, but I didn't really have something that I wanted to say. But the last couple of years, I did have something to say, and then to put it into a book format was a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, definitely. And so what I want to do on this show today is just have you talk to our listeners about what kind of led up to you writing the book, what was going on at the industry at the time, and what can readers take away from reading Digital Labor?
Yeah, so again, I had this aspiration of, at some point writing a book, and I wanted to have something interesting to say. I just didn't want to just, put a bunch of words together and bind it up. And I want to go back to the beginning of this decade, or around, the early 2010s, so I'm going to say 2011 and 12. I was working in the outsourcing industry. And, we started to see the next wave of change that was happening. So I had started out in the outsourcing industry in the late 90s, and we saw a lot of offshoring of labor, jobs being packaged up and shipped to India, China, or low-cost locations. And, that drove a lot of business, a lot of political issues around jobs and stuff like that. But it was quite lucrative for firms who were doing that because they could save a lot of money. But that kind of stabilized out over the course of, say, late 90s to about 2010. Mm-hmm. And what we started to see after 2010 was sort of what I'll call the next wave of change that was happening. And it had to do with advanced software replacing people. So you would say, hey, I have high-cost labor doing work. Let's get low-cost labor. What's better than that is no-cost labor in the form of software. It's not literally no cost, but software, when it can perform work, does so in a way that's very different than people. It's better, it's faster, it's cheaper, but it's not easy to set up. And every year things progress, the software gets better and better, and it's progressing in a way that is nonlinear, meaning that the progression's not just happening incrementally, it's happening at leaps and bounds. And so now fast forward to the end of this decade, we're seeing now, automation is really a mainstream topic. Right. We're seeing jobs get automated.
Yep. And
the title of this book is called Digital Labor, The Coming Demise of the White-Collar Worker. And what we're trying to connote here is that just like the blue-collar workers were impacted by automation and mechanization of physical labor,
right,
that mental labor is now going to be hit with advanced software. And we want people to take note of it, understand it, and then get themselves positioned so that they can take advantage of it.
Awesome. And you're right. So I think the terms automation, we're definitely seeing that a lot now.
Right.
And I think we're not always clear on what the definition is, and there's a lot of varying definitions out there. So is this book for industry experts? Is it inside baseball? Is it for anyone? Who's the audience here?
Well, this was a challenge in the book. I didn't want to write a tome or a book for industry insiders because I don't think anyone would actually, read it. This is really meant for mainstream, and we spent a lot of time trying to make sure that the content was accessible and understandable to a mainstream audience. And the reason is because it's the mainstream audience that needs to hear this story. Mm-hmm. The insiders kind of know what's happening here. And you're seeing, a rush to many companies are pushing into this, investing in advanced technologies like AI and automation software. But what we really wanted to understand is the people who are going to be impacted by this. That's who this book is targeted to. We want them to understand what's going to happen because, as we talk about in the book, it's a tale of two cities. It's going to be the best of times. It's going to be the worst of times.
Right.
And which one it is for you as an individual has a lot to do with the choices you make in the coming years.
Great. So awesome. So I think anybody who is a white collar worker or not a white collar worker, this is going to be an excellent book for them to pick up and read.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the feedback. Again, we use a lot of consistent examples throughout the book that are what I'll call mainstream examples. One of the ones we use a lot is around the journey that Netflix went under when they went after Blockbuster. Now they're a completely different company through digital transformation. We use a lot of examples like Uber and things like that people are familiar with, and they get a sense of what's happening. We don't get into the real details behind the scenes. We have a podcast series, Pardon the Disruption. You can get on the Rumjog channel on YouTube or experience this. We talk about a little bit more in depth some of the specific technologies and how they're impacting. But this is really an introduction to people to say, hey, if you thought that blue-collar workers were hit bad with automation over the last 20 or 30 years, wait till you see what happens with digital labor.
Awesome. Sounds great. So I would recommend anybody interested in this topic and wanting to know more. So it's out on Amazon.
Yeah.
I see. So the paperback copies, $14.99. You've got your hardcover and your Kindle out there as well. And if people want to know more, the website was digitallaborbook.com.
I think so. Yeah, or you can just go to rumjog.com, and I think most of the stuff is there. But yeah, we have a few web properties out there to go access to this, but you can get it from Amazon, or the Rumjog website has most of the stuff.
Awesome.
Great.
Looking forward to the rest of the series.
Absolutely.
Thanks.